Hello, beautiful people. We are back for another episode of Age of Awæcnian, Soulful Stories Unveiled. And I have a big grin on my face because I can only laugh at when we experience technical difficulties or things that require us to repeat and refine. And I feel like that refining piece has been really a lot of deep learning in this particular month. And yeah, it feels really, really good to just be in flow and embrace it. And yeah, I've had a day where it's been lots of things like this happening. How are you feeling, Flea?
Just have to laugh. All you can do is laugh when things don't go to plan, is just take a deep breath and go, let's try again. And that's exactly what we did. So we had started our beautiful interview, and for whatever reason, we were bumped out and completely not live, but we were having a lovely chat anyway. So we're going to start again and just enjoy the fact that, these little interruptions usually bring a deeper insight anyway. And it was something that actually popped up today to remember that those little pauses and hesitations are actually those gold moments that let the new things come into your life, or they protect you from potential harm. So either way, we're just going with the flow and we're allowing things to happen as they unfold.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And another amazing woman that we have on as our guest today goes with the flow. And we're so excited to have Bay Marie all the way from Germany come and join us. And she is the CEO and founder of Moving River and being in flow. She carries many hats, but she's all about transformation, success, empowerment, leadership. And yeah, just noticing our superhumanness and our humanness in all that we are and all the hats that we get to wear. And Bay Marie, I'd love for you to say hello and introduce yourself a little more.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me and for everything that you're doing at the moment. I'm really excited to be a speaker at the Awæcnian Summit next week, and yeah, I will be talking about untamed superpowers and how we can rewild back to our essence, because this is what has been driving me for the past years, that we have been conditioned so much from a young age on by the beliefs and thoughts of our parents, by the media that we consume, by the food that we eat, and by our peers, and everything was like layered onto us in a way that now when we awaken, when we're Awæcnian, then it's our job basically to peel back those layers and find who we truly are. And this is what has driven me for the past let's say 14 years, 15 years now, to rewild myself, but also support others in doing so. And in this context, I love to talk about superpowers, because when we say, yeah, come back to your essence, come back to your true self, for a lot of people, that's like, yeah, well, I am already me. So what more is there? But when you're at that level where you feel like, yeah, I'm already me, I already know who I am, then you can even go deeper. You can even find more depth in yourself. And that's why I talk about superpowers, because this is where our supernatural self comes in. We're not just human. Human is always described as this, soul driving like a meat vehicle kind of thing. But there's so much more than just this meat construct that we're in. There's just our when we talk about the sixth sense or the seven senses or about extraterrestrial things, that is us. Like we are
Mhm.
capable of all of that, all of that people imagine in movies. That's not just imagination. I mean, where does that come from? It
Yeah. Yeah.
so I could go on and on about this because
Yeah.
it just excites me so much to dive in with people to get into their essence, into their superpowers, into their gifts. Like I think this is so exciting because we are all so unique in this.
Mm. It's beautiful. What card just came up there, Flea?
So the beautiful spread that I have laid out before we jumped on this call, I actually have the first and the last card. And I was telling Marie before we jumped on, this is going to be an interesting conversation because the first card was the obstacles and challenges. And that's exactly what you were saying, Babe Marie, with all of, the obligations and the rules and the society and the beliefs and the patterns that are quite limiting and can be challenging to overcome in our life. But then obviously the power card as the superwoman that you are with all of this beautiful, wonderful knowledge that's coming in. And like that's from one end to the other. And there's more to unfold with this beautiful speech or interview.
Yeah. And it's these obstacles, these pieces that aren't really spoken about, that feel taboo. And I know, Ray Marie, love talking about the woo woo, and so does Felicia and I, and making it and being able to normalize these parts of ourselves, these shadow parts, these parts that seem denied or suppressed, and really own those pieces. But I also love the scientific evidence, the research that goes behind a lot of these ways of understanding the body. Like you were saying, we've got this body, but it is so wise when we go in deeper into it, as you were saying. And so, for you, when you were a little girl, did you feel that you had superpowers? And was there a time where you're like, yeah, I can rule the world? Because, we see kids, they're like, I'm going to rule the world and do this and this. And then when something changes over time and we lose that epicness and that boldness and those superpowers that are gifted to us in a way because of those constraints and beliefs and restrictions. So for you, when was there a time where you felt like, yeah, I can do anything, and then have that shift for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I truly believe, like all children, when we look at them, they're all gifted. Like we come into this world and we're all gifted with so many things. To come to the scientific aspect of it, before we're two, our brain has the capability to learn everything that there is on this planet. We have the capability to easily access any of the 7,000 languages that are out there. And then when we turn two, our brain, does a productivity check, and it checks which areas, which neural connections we're actually using, and it just sorts those out that we don't need, that we don't use, and it just throws them away. So when you have the gift of being exposed to multiple languages when you were little, then those connections are there and the brain will not erase them. But if you're only exposed to one language, then your the language learning ability is minimized, so that when you get older it's harder to learn that again. So that's why when I talk to parents, or when I work with parents, I'm like, expose them to multiple languages. It doesn't really matter how, but listen to English music, or listen to Spanish music, or listen to Greek music, but just expose them to different languages, so it's the brain takes it seriously. And the same thing is with our woo woo abilities. I love that you said woo woo, because for most people, when I talk about clairvoyance, or when I talk about listening to your intuition, most people say, yeah, whatever, that's like stuff. But what it actually is, it's our natural state. Our natural state is to be able to listen and hear things that are not vocally expressed. We are gifted to know stuff before things happen. We have the ability to see things that are not materialized. So when I was little, I saw a lot of things, and also saw a lot of I saw a lot of shadows, and I was never afraid of them until I saw them attached to people. And and I think I was 12 or 13 when it just got really intense, and I couldn't handle it anymore because I didn't know what to do with this, because nobody was talking about it. Everybody was like, when I said, there is something. Yeah, no, there's nothing, don't worry about it. There's nothing. That's just your brain playing a trick on you. And at some point, since I didn't know how to handle it, I just shut down. I stopped receiving. I told myself I do not want to receive anymore. And there it is, when you decide, that you don't want to receive this certain thing anymore, then you stop receiving completely. Because you cannot say, oh, I want to receive this, but I don't want to receive this, or I do, this is not how it works. So for the past, I would say 20 years now, I have been working on being able to receive again. And when you're little, when you're like 5, 6, 7, when you're still so open and receive everything, and like, I rule the world, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be president, I'm going to be a superstar, I'm going to be blah 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 blah. You're just so full of energy without all of the conditioning. And so I truly believe that the greatest gift that we can give to our kids is to let them think, be, basically also say whatever they want to say, whatever they need to express in this world, because they are still, well, I don't know a better term for that right now, but they're still pure. They're still clean. We're all covered in dirt, all of the dirt layers of societal conditioning and media conditioning and who we are supposed to be in this world. And they are still so in there. This is who I am. This is, I had a beautiful conversation with a 15-year-old the other day. And he said that he, with everything that is going on around him, everything that he is being told about him does not align with how he feels on the inside. And I was so in awe, that a 15-year-old, in the midst of puberty, in the midst of all that, biological chaos that he is in, says, everything that people say about me is not who I am. And to have that power and that resilience to stand in your own truth, I think is, we can take an example on that as adults. This going back and forth and wanting to please people and wanting to, be supportive the whole time and don't be too egotistic, and this whole battle that we have inside of us, instead of just saying, who am I in this? Where am I in this? Where do I align right now? And then work from this place. And this is what I love about what you guys do, about the summit, about all the speakers, about, your, if we speak in marketing terms, your whole branding is what it's about. It's about aligning. So can I ask you something right now?
Yeah, please. There was so many pieces there, Marie, I really want to tap into, but please ask us, and then I want to weave back with some of the amazing shares you've just presented.
Like, when did your awakening happen? Like, when did you decide, whoa, this is something that I need to bring to this world?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. Oh, I'm happy to go first. I think,
There's been a few stages.
yeah. Sorry, Flea. Oh, we're having a little
There's been a
delay.
few stages for me.
Yeah,
I feel like, of course, technology.
you go, you go.
It may not work and it may be delayed, but hopefully it comes through. I feel like it comes in stages. I was always kind of woo woo to start with. So I guess, I very similarly to you, that trapped in fear, like things started happening and I was saying things and people are like, no, that's wrong. You're incorrect. And I hid that part of myself. It's like, okay, yeah, I actually do have this innate sense, and like there's things that happen that I can't really explain. There's information that I know that I shouldn't know. And it was like really sitting in the fear of that. But I guess the real big eye opener moment would have been about 2 years ago, right before Marie put the call out. And it was this big aha moment as to the actual expression, as you were talking about, that innocent expression of the child. And it was this moment of clarity where I went, all religions are the same. It's just the interpretation of the place and the time that gets mixed in with this expression that has confused so many people. And it was with that understanding of it's all the same. We are all the same. And it's just how can we transfer our expression and stay within our truth, but accept other people's points of view on that, because we all have a very unique way of sharing what we know, and we all have unique experiences, and that's the beauty behind it. And I think that was the big eye opener for me. It was like, wow, it's all the same.
Yeah. I think for me as well, it was probably about 12 years ago when I was teaching. And so, this beautiful piece of what you shared with that young man, that 15-year-old, I was, I was just in awe of young people and just being like, the role model that gets to inspire that expression, that spark. And I love the parts of our youth that just get underestimated. And I've seen them shine and I've seen them create things that they never thought they could. And they have this potential in them and they get so underestimated. And yes, it's a hard time to, I never want to be a teenager again. It's the hardest time well, there's lots of hard times, but it's one of the hardest times in your developmental stage because you're building into your identity and stepping into adulthood, and anchoring in a lot of pieces and figuring out who you are, where you fit in the world. And so it was through that process of teaching where I was even questioning, my own depth. And I was doing a lot of meditation, working with sound frequencies and color therapy on my different chakra points. And I had this heart opening awakening, a heart awakening. And it was like this really deep, intense, yeah, like I was seeing colors and things. Um, and it was, yeah, this piercing explosion of like unconditional love that physiologically exuded my whole body. And I was crying because it just felt like home. And I just remember like that expansion. And then there have been other ones where my body has um, gone through Shakti grounding, where it was like a whole heap of electronic type of energy, like ground, like it actually felt like it was going zzz, zzz. And that was after a really intense breath work process. That was like a 2 hour, 3 hour journey. Um, and release and purge and uh, my whole physiological, it felt like there was a whole structural thing that was like DNA shifting. And I've had other ones that have just been guided where it's been a physiological remembrance that's come through. And a lot of those have been self-guided, and over time it's become easier to connect and notice the visions that come through, but also the felt experience in the body when you hear things, have conversation with guides, with whatever it is that comes through, um, and your body feels it, and you cannot. Uh, well, I found it hard to explain it to other people that were like, okay, good for you then. We still got to live in this 3D world. Oh, you've got wings? Okay, cool. And then it's like other people that see that through experiences of really deep connection and through processes, it's been really beautiful to go, oh, okay, people see me now, people feel that now. And it's been a process even for me to, accept, surrender was a key word this morning, and like really accept and honor that. And I think, yeah, all of these pieces that led us here, from that little, the baby, that the innocence, the purity, the lines that you were saying, like these pure essence pieces that are still ingrained, like when we heal that little boy or that little girl within us, that then just is a purification process in itself. And so I want to tap into that more, because you talked about the purity and the essence and this magic, and there is science behind it, and there's felt truths that are people's stories. Like, I'd love for you to share, Bae Marie, was there another moment in your life where you had this like boom, like I don't know, it could be, sometimes it's small for people, sometimes it's big, it can look many different ways. Like, but was there like an awakening process for you that was like, boom, it's on now?
I think it's kind of what Flea said. It comes in stages, or it came in stages. But one of the, like, when it comes to my kids, I have two. And when my first one was born, like I knew when she would come. I just knew, this tonight she's gonna come. And it was like, wow, okay, this is powerful. This is really, and everyone was like, what do you think? Is it a boy or a girl? Your belly looks like this, so it probably is a boy. And I was like, no, it's a girl. It's a girl, and she will come at least a week early. And they were like, no, no. Usually, the first moms, they carry longer and stuff like that. I was like, no, no. She wants out. She's ready. No, and that's how it was. She just came a week early, and it was and it was this moment of looking into her eyes, like, I don't know if women or people in general understand that if they don't have kids, but when you have a baby and you look at that baby's eyes for the first time, you really see the whole universe. And I don't just mean the universe that we live in. I mean the totality of things.
Yeah.
And and it was that moment where I was like, whoa, okay. Like, everybody says, when you become a mother, everything shifts. But they don't tell you how groundbreaking that shift is. Like, your ground that you stand on gets shattered. Like, your belief systems get questioned. Everything that you value gets shifted, gets questioned. And so that was one of the times in my life when I felt like, okay, there is something bigger than what I'm doing right now, something bigger that I have to contribute to this world, to this realm that we are in at the moment. And that just created this, yeah, it just flipped. Like, everything that I had been working on up to this point, finding myself, uncovering myself, peeling back all the layers of conditioning and programming. And all of a sudden, there's this moment of truth that just hits you so hard that, it completely shifted in a different direction for me. and also my teachings have evolved like from one minute to the next. And then when my son was born 3 years ago, that was also like another big shift, because he is, like I said in the beginning, all children are gifted. There's no comparison between children. And he is such a truth seeker. Like, he's a truth thermometer. He's like a pendulum, that goes like, and when it goes in the wrong direction, he just hits. He just moves. And so with him, I'm always so connected to my truth, because he is like such a intense mirror. Sometimes you don't want to look at the mirror. Sometimes you don't want to see. But then there's this little thing, this little human who is just like, well, here, hey, this is not going the way it should be. This is not. And so really digging, receiving, appreciating, and surrendering to moments like this is I
Mm.
is our greatest gift, the present that we have. So to open up and see them, to see the mirrors, to see the little nudges, to see the little what is that called? That thing that when there's an earthquake, um, it's
Seismograph
yes, a
things.
seismograph.
Yeah.
We all have them in our lives. And to find them
Mm.
and to identify who that is in your life, because most of the time it is a close person to you, or it's your dog or your cat. But the seismographs, they're here for you to, when you cannot listen to yourself, when you cannot trust yourself, that there's somebody, something outside of yourself where you're like, oh, I'm out of tune. Oh, I'm off balance. Oh, okay. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. Oh no, you did, and that purity of knowing the truth um, is really, really beautiful. And what I was thinking of was like, this is the divine masculine energetics, and we all, I mean, we do have that in us as well, but that even in the feminine, in our masculine, that truth seeker, the clarity. But I think even in our boys, our young men, our partners, our warriors, there is that just innate quality within them, in the masculine, in the logic, in the truth seeking and the justice, in the archetypal framework, that's the divine masculine essence as well. That I think we underestimate how beautiful that is to notice, because again, we've also suppressed our men as well, and in the patriarchal society that we're in, has suppressed their emotional states, their essence, because when their feminine essence is online, the feeling, the intuition, the being, the faith side of trusting their abilities, that disharmony occurs when we look at the energetics of the feminine and masculine within yourself, within relationship. And it's been beautiful to just hear that story unfold, because it made me just reflect on my day to day and things in my own life. And I'm like, oh, my husband's that seismograph for me. He's got that big heart to go, this is the truth. You are out of balance right now. You need to think about this. And it may come across sometimes like our men, the feelings of anger, grief, loss. Again, they feel the same things as we do, not being able to fit in, not having like that sense of brotherhood, or for us, I know we, all three of us, have sisterhood connections and that yearning. And like, I feel because the feminine has been rising to bring that balance in the collective, it's going to allow our sons, our husbands, our brothers to really step into their light. And so then I see this beautiful, again, this flip where it's like there will be harmony again within the feminine and the masculine. But things do require the truth, but also the essence of the feeling, this dance to happen. Yeah, that's kind of what came through for me. I don't think I've shared that before, and that's just what. And this is why I love conversations like this, because then it sparks things that get channeled through. And our children remind us of that, and our families, and the hardships, and the challenges, and the shadows, so that we can embrace those gifts, those superpowers to the utmost power and capability.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely beautiful. And I love that you touched on, sisterhood, because in the past, women have been fighting each other because we have also been conditioned to do so. We have been conditioned to always try to be better, prettier, thinner, slimmer, fitter, whatever, as other women. And I feel that not just now, but like in the past couple of maybe months, years, that feeling of coming together, taking each other's hands and walking together instead of that rivalry is coming more and more. And that we, by creating spaces like this, by having conversations like that, we are healing the sisterhood wound, not just for us, but for a whole generation or maybe multiple generations, where we also heal our ancestral lineage. When our grandmothers, our mothers, when they weren't able to express or articulate what it is, but to come back together, to come back in circles, to sit in circles with other women, to support other women and champion other women, is, I think, one of the most beautiful things that is happening at this moment. There we go. Like, and to really look at, which it does not exclude men. When we talk about, sisterhood, and when we talk about sitting in circle, like you explained that so beautifully, Marie, is when the feminine rises, when we as women are capable of stepping into our feminine energy, into our feminine power, we are spreading that energy, that magnificence on this planet. And it will also touch our brothers, our husbands, our sons, and they will have the they will feel the truth of themselves, that they also have that feminine energy inside of them, and that they do not need to suppress it. Like, how many years have I suppressed my feminine because I was so caught up in my masculine? Because I thought that this is how it's supposed to be, that I need to be that strong, independent superwoman who does it all by herself. When I discovered, in superhero movies, they don't do it by themselves. Superheroes never do it by themselves. They always have either, a bunch of humans supporting them, or, they have the League of Justice, or, like other superheroes coming into their movie and supporting them on their endeavors and in their fights and in their battles. So discovering that Superwoman is actually a woman in control of herself and of her destiny and of her power, for me, has shifted so much, because it means that you know who you are, you know what you're capable of, and you know when you need to ask for help. You know when there is a villain so big that you cannot handle it by themselves, and there's no shame around it. So then you get, people like Felicia or Marie in your corner and say, hey, ladies, let's tackle that one. And yeah.
And that's what that
So
sums up, that recognition and reward. So that it was more the recognition that stood out for me with this card, because it's that celebration of others that you mentioned, Leah Marie, that, when we can sit in circle and we can just celebrate the successes, like yes, I've overcome this, or yes, excuse me, like Marie is a powerhouse interviewer. Like I can't do what she can do, but in the same sense, like I don't need to compete because I'm not her. I don't need to be in that same situation, and I can celebrate that. And that beautiful reward that comes from that is this union of knowing we're not in competition. You can be you and I can be me, and we can do some of the same things together, and we can do different things at the same time. And it's the power of knowing that each one of us has a beautiful story that is in connection and does resonate. And even your story about your child, my first was also a week early, and I knew she was going to be a girl, and I even knew the fact that on the day I met her father that it wasn't going to be forever. It was only temporary to have those two children. And it was a statement that I made to my best friend. And I just went, I'm going to marry him and have his kids, but he's not going to love me. And I was completely okay with that, going in knowing that that was the person that was going to give me my children, because I knew that my first daughter was actually the reincarnation of um, a sibling that I had lost. So my mum had lost a child when I was 14, and she had called that child Shani. And I was like, that child is coming back to me. She is mine. And I knew that that was going to happen. But that trust that comes from having people like Marie and yourself that understand that level of awareness, it's like, okay, I can actually share that story. I don't need to be in fear of it. And I'm not crazy for knowing that stuff or believing that, because it actually turned out to be true. And that is the recognition and the reward is not only do we get to accept others, but in that gifting of receiving that energy, we get to receive back. And that's what I love the most is like, yes, I am the powerhouse. My first graduation ceremony as my first year as a teacher, I cried for every single kid that got up on the stage, and I hadn't taught any of them. I was just like, oh, yay, they did it. They did it. Yes. Oh, how cool. They made it to the end. And it was just so beautiful. And that was I was like, yes, this is my joy. I just want to celebrate people just growing and just being what they can be. And it's so much power, like you said, when we come together, when we recognize our own strengths, when we know what it is that we're actually good at, and we're able to then ask for that help. It is so powerful and just so connecting.
Yeah, so beautiful. Oh, that piece about connection, I think, in this sense of flow and just noticing all of the threads that get to weave together is it reminds me of the ocean or the river. And I was just thinking of like, moving river, and like we are never really stuck, even when we feel like we're not going anywhere, there is still something to learn in that stillness or that stuckness, um, for us to integrate. And so, in moving forward, Bay Marie, with all of the amazing things you're doing now, you are not stuck. You're on fire. You're like boom, 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 boom. Like this beautiful, healthy river that's flowing and connecting and so in alignment. What is it that you see for yourself and your family in the next few years of this growth, this expansion, not only in just your business, but just you as being just the phenomenal person you are, and the growth of what you see coming forward? Like what's the oracle within you feeling for the next few years for you?
So, um, oh God, I love this question. I love this question so much because, so when I look at my future, when I and that I and by looking at my future, I don't mean that I look outside of myself. It is more the thing that I feel into myself. That the tunnel to your future is actually inside of you. So when I go inside, when I go deep, I see us as a family, um, creating more space. Creating more space, not just for us as a family, but also as role models. And what I also feel and see is, right now we have a beautiful house. So grateful for everything that we have created in this 3D life right now. But I feel that we will we will move. We will probably travel, and there there is a lot that is going to happen in the next year, actually. So yeah, but what I love about all of this is that, when the pandemic has taught us one thing is that we are connected all over the place, that through platforms like this, I can talk to Australia right now. I'm on the other side of the world and I can talk to you ladies. And, I do speaking engagements all over the world, and I'm not, I'm not stuck in one location. And if I be somewhere else physically, or just, as on screen, is just the beauty of our time right now. And so being open, like for me, it's all about being open and ready to receive the goodness and the abundance that is coming my way. And not to be hesitant because of a job, or because of this, or because of school, or because of whatever restrictions your brain is going to throw in your way, that that can happen when you follow that path. If you go deep, if you go inside, and if you really feel like now is the time to do, or now is the time to whatever, the other things will fall into place. The other things will happen. Like my grandma always says, if it's not easy, then it's not the solution. So if you need to force something, then it's probably not the perfect way yet.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's so synchronistic to the day of how we started, which you were on a call with us and feeling into these resistance pieces, and just feeling into the alignment within self and what lights you up, and being in flow. And I think, it's fun when you start to play with it in your life, and it's choosing to play with it and to embrace all those things. So that's so exciting. I see you traveling with your family. Flea and I have like, we're going to be taken around the world, Marie. There's things happening that it's been called. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that too. It's like, I remember Archangel Michael, like last year, he's like, get ready. And he like, all these different countries. I'm like, but I don't need to go there. He's like, you're going there. I'm like, okay, okay, you guys are preparing for those things. And I see my family coming with me. They're not sure yet, but it's a process of that invitation as well. So I love that. What a beautiful vision. And
And just one more thing, because you said when you talked about the river and we're always in flow, we're never stuck. Sometimes when we feel like we're stuck, that is the part when the river is the widest and the water is just flowing really, really slowly and gently because there are no obstacles. So most of the time when we feel stuck, we need to shift our perspective into enjoying where we are right now, because there will be rapids again, and there will be waterfalls, and there will be logs, and big stones in the way. So when we feel stuck, you're actually not stuck, you're just gently flowing at the moment. And that shift for me has made such a huge difference, because usually we're like, oh my God, I'm stuck. I can't move forward. This is me. But when we're like, oh, okay, no, now's my time to relax and flow and enjoy for a second, because it's going to take off pretty soon again. That, yeah, just made a huge difference for me.
oh, I love that. And Flea and I are all about shifting the lens. And we've had those moments to each other where we've been like, even today. And it's such a beautiful way to to end this beautiful session with you. Now, Bea Marie, if people have loved listening, how can they connect with you?
Oh, yes. You can connect with me through my website, www.superwoman.coach. There you can also find my circle, that is my membership, where we do beautiful moon ceremonies and healing sessions and community sessions. And you also through Instagram on at moving_river, that you can also find me on YouTube and on Facebook here, of course. And where else? Oh, LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn. It's my Bea Marie Anine name. And yeah.
Yeah, and your beautiful podcast goes live to many of these platforms too. So I had the pleasure of jumping on Bea Marie's podcast as well. So fun and so wonderful to have you here. Oh, thank you so much for your time. And Flea, are there any final thoughts before we end?
No, I actually missed a lot of that end bit because the sound decided it wanted to Bluetooth to a different device, and I had no idea what was going on. But I'm sure it was absolutely brilliant, and I can look back and watch
Yeah,
that little bit there. So the
listen to the
confusion on my
replay.
face was just like, what happened to my sound? Did my computer die?
Oh, you were still in the space.
Fun
Look,
stuff.
let's end with a laugh, because we started with technology glitching on us, but I think what you shared there, Bea Marie, was we're just just going in flow, and we're feeling all of those pieces within the water. And I love that lens shift of the rocks, the rapids, the waterfall, and the widening and the slowness. So I'm going to remember that as well and take that with me. So thank you so much for your time. And we will see you next week at the summit. So, guys, tune in from the 24th to the 27th. You can get your $5 tickets. You can upgrade to VIP if you type in aligned VIP with a capital A, capital VIP. And come in, listen to Bea Marie and all the amazing speakers. Hope to see you there. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yes.